What's up, everybody? It is time to make up your mind with me, Mandy. And it is a little bit of a gloomy day in LA here today, but not to worry because we have my girl Robin Taylor here.
Hello!
To brighten up our day. Robin, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm amazing. Are you feeling like the gloomy weather? Are you gonna overcome it?
Oh yeah, I have mixed feelings. Oh, I always overcome, girl. We always do that. I kind of like that there's a little bit of rain just because LA, it doesn't really rain that much. You know what I mean? So it's nice to have a little bit of gloom, but also it brings the mood down a little bit because you're like, oh my god, the rain.
You want to stay in bed, kind of?
Yeah.
Force yourself
stay
to
inside. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, we definitely need the rain, but we need more of the sunshine. So can you brighten up our lives with what you do? How can we let our listeners know what Robin Taylor's about, and just share your life with us.
Okay, yes, I'll tell you all you need to know. Robin Taylor. So I am a music artist mainly. I write songs, sing, perform. I actually started live streaming back in 2017. I started on an app called Live Me, and it just kind of took off from there. Started getting contracted on numerous other apps, and so that's kind of where I fell more into social media world, and I really enjoyed live streaming. And then from there, I've always been interested in money and finance.
Cha-ching!
Right? Yeah. So I started investing about 4 years ago, in the stock market. And then from there, I got into crypto about a year ago. I'm still a baby in the crypto world, but I'm super into it. It actually all started, right? All the creative stuff started, I started acting in school plays at 6, and then I actually...
Let's start there. Let's start from
the baby Robin.
Young Robin Taylor, baby Robin. Tell us where you grew up. Give us a little bit of a biography. I want to know. I want my listeners to really get to know you.
Yeah. So I'm originally from Fairfax, Virginia, which is right outside of DC. My dad worked in the Navy. He was a commander in the Navy for nuclear subs and stuff. My mom was just a desktop specialist, computer stuff.
I like that, desktop specialist.
Right? Yeah, desktop specialist. So that's what my parents did. Grew up outside of DC, and then I started acting in school plays and stuff when I was 6, and then when I was 8, I started playing the cello, so that's where music came into play.
Classical,
right? I know, crazy. And then when I was 9, I started taking piano lessons. Another thing that happened when I was 8, though, this is where the finance comes into play, is we used to have yard sales and garage sales and stuff, and my mom got me this little kid's cash register, so I got to do the cash register at the yard sale, and I just loved counting the money. And then I also ran for treasurer in elementary school 3 years in a row and never got it.
In regards to the money thing, I was just the banker in Monopoly, and I always cheated.
Hey, all you do is you gotta do to get that bread.
But just kidding. You on the other end, you're over here with a cash register. Yeah. She's counting the money. At a young age, she's getting a feel for it.
Yeah,
I like that. that.
It was really cute. I liked it. It made the little noise when you open the drawer. It was cha-ching, do-do-do-do. And then I was just the money. I don't know. I just really enjoyed it.
Okay.
And then around 9 or 10, I started taking acting classes and modeling classes in the DC area. And then when I was 14, I went to New York City for a acting convention thing. But after auditioning for so many years and not really getting anything, then I was okay, screw this, I'm gonna go to music. So then I started doing music lessons, voice lessons and stuff. So that's where music started coming more into play.
Okay. Do you feel you always wanted to be an actress and it just kind of didn't work out, so you kind of went into music, or do you think that your thing had always been music and you just didn't know it, and your path led you down where you were supposed to be with music? Does that make sense?
I feel like it's a little bit of both, because when I was younger, I would kind of imagine myself older, on the red carpet and in movies and stuff, and I love acting, but I feel I use a lot of that acting into music as well. Because
it's so expressing your emotion.
Exactly, and I just love, I love talking, and I love being vocal, and I feel singing and songwriting. I've been writing since I was a young kid, too. When I was 6, I won a couple of writing awards for my poems and stories in elementary school, so I feel the songwriting and writing was kind of natural as well. I don't know, I just feel it's all around creative. I just love being creative.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love that. We love
creativity.
So when did you make your way to LA from Virginia? Because that's a huge change. What a culture shock, right?
So actually, I actually moved to New York City first. So I moved to New York City 2 days after my 19th birthday.
By yourself?
Yeah, well, I went for college, so that was like my way out of Virginia because I was like, I don't have enough money, so I just like used college as my whole family is all like college educated. They all have college degrees, so they really pushed me to go to college. So I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to go to college for anything, it's going to be something artistic, you know. So I was like, okay, let me go for music. And I was expelled in high school, so I was like, I got to find a college that will accept me.
What were you expelled for, Robin?
I was expelled twice.
Not just once, but twice. Do you want to share that? We can't just
sure. Yeah. Okay. So I was kind of a bad girl. I got in trouble a lot in high school, like with the cops a couple times too. But clean record. My adult record is clean, so don't you worry, future bachelors.
Okay, quit dancing around it. Why are you here to know? Okay,
so the first time I had hit the security guard because so me and my friend were actually trying to skip for lunch, like go across the street for lunch and then come back, and you weren't allowed to do that. So as we're like walking through the parking lot, the security guard's like, hey, what are you guys doing out here? And we were like, just grabbing gym shoes or something. So we like, luckily, like the car that I had was like a hand-me-down from my sister, and my sister was like athletic, so thank God there were sneakers in the car. Okay. So he held my purse as collateral to be like, okay, I'm gonna hold your purse, you go get your shoes and come back. So then I was like, okay. So I go to my car, grab my shoes, I come back, and my purse is gone, and then like some other security guard is there, and I'm like, okay, I have my sneakers, like, can I have where's my purse, can I go to class now? And he's just like, what are you really doing out here, blah, 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 and starts interrogating me. So I was just like, I started cursing at him, and I was like, I want my purse, dude, I have my sneakers, and I want to go, give me my purse. And so he kept egging me on, and so then I hit him with the shoe in the face. And actually, when I went to the school board meeting, they were like, so because he kind of egged you on, we're not going to like do a full-on expulsion. We'll just move you from one school to another public school. So then I was like, okay. So they did that. But then, that was like before the summer. So then I had the summer off. And then the second time was the first week of my junior year at this new school. I'd made friends with this girl or whatever. And like, I smoked a lot of weed back in the day. So like literally the one time I ever had weed on me on school grounds, and this girl like I had told somebody or whatever. So then like as I came back inside from lunchtime or whatever, like smoking in my car, the principal was like, so we got a word about something and we're gonna have to pull you aside and search you. So yeah, then they found weed on me and they're like, all right, you're out of here.
So after that you went to college?
Yeah,
okay, so then you had to find a college that would accept you.
Yeah, because I was expelled. So then, actually, the expelled kind of worked out.
Did that affect anything?
Actually, it kind of worked out for the better because, like, the school that I went to was only for expelled kids. So there was like,
see, kids, everything happens for a reason.
Yes, so I actually finished high school 6 months early because the school I went to was all on the computer, 2 hours a day. Fridays were optional. I was like, Fridays are optional. I'm not going on Friday. Yeah. Like, we're gonna tell expelled kids that Fridays are optional. We're not going. Like, so. I actually, because it was all computer-based, it was like just whenever I finished the Latin lessons and the quiz, I get to finish. So I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm going to finish as fast as I can.
Okay.
I got out 6 months early, but then I had to go to like a community college for like extra college courses. Like, I got English and math out of the way before I went to college for music. So then by the time I got to music school, those credits were already done.
And what was the school that you went to?
A 5 towns college.
Okay, and then you were at school there, and then when did you make your way to LA? How old were you? And the little story behind getting to LA.
So after I finished college, I stayed in New York for another year. And I'd actually visited LA in 2012 during Hurricane Sandy.
Okay.
That was my first time in LA. So I actually came here for a music conference. The music conference actually got canceled. So I was like, what? So then I just got stuck out here for Halloween. And then when Hurricane Sandy hit New York, I got stranded out here for 3 days. So I had to like sleep in my rental car my first time in LA because I was like, oh my God, I didn't bring enough money for this. So then I'd actually visited LA twice. So then I moved here in July of 2013, the next year, a year after college. And I just like camped across the country because it was cheaper and fun.
And like, no matter what, you were going to make your dream happen.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I'd already like made it in New York City. So I was like, okay, if I can make it here.
Yeah. What do you find different from New York to here? And anybody who's trying to get in entertainment, is there any advice that you would give them in regards to whether New York, LA, or traveling across the country by yourself at how old? At
23.
23, I was like, because you were 19, and then so at 23. Yeah. I know times are way different now, and we have like the whole purge going on, sad to say.
I know.
But we'll get to that in a little bit. Yeah. It's really, it's really straining on somebody's, mental,
100%.
Emotional, physical.
Yeah.
So what kind of advice would you give to somebody trying to do that?
I think it depends on your goals. So, like, New York is definitely way more fashion-oriented.
Modeling.
Yes, but there's also a lot of fashion in LA, too. So, I think it just depends on your personality type as well. Like, I loved New York City, but I grew up in Virginia, so I'm still, like, a suburb girl. And I like how LA is more spread out. I like the sun and the palm trees and, winter. Although, like, I like to visit winter, I don't know if I really like living through it. So,
right.
I think, like, you have to assess a couple things, like, what do you like and dislike in terms of your personality and also your goals, because another thing is, like, if you go into acting, New York is definitely, I think, more theater based.
I was going to say, good for acting school theaters.
Yes, and LA is way more film based. So, and then in terms of music, I'd say, like, New York is definitely more, like, I would say rap and rock. And then LA is probably, there's definitely a lot of rap in LA too, but I'd say more pop. There's more pop.
Alternative indie.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas I feel like New York is definitely, at least from my experience.
So,
yeah.
Okay, so I've never been to New York, so I'm just trying to, I know, we're talking about that.
I know, we need to go.
I know. Yeah. So, New York. This is just what I get from it. I feel like LA is a little bit more accepting in regards to, like, personality.
Yeah.
That's what I would guess, because there's so many different, like, facets of personalities. People are super eccentric. You know what I mean? Again, I've never been to New York, so nobody come at me. I'm just guessing. I just feel like LA would be more accepting in regards to, like, personalities and
I would say a little bit of that. What I loved about when I moved to New York is New York was definitely way more accepting than Virginia, for sure. Okay. So if you're from, like, moving from South Dakota or Minnesota, like,
Minnesota.
Yeah, exactly. New York is definitely going to be a little more accepting. LA, I could definitely see that as well. Like, LA, I think, is a little more of a melting pot in terms of creativity, like, types of creatives and stuff. New York, at least from my experience, there's, like, the people in Greenwich Village and, like, Lower East Side is, like, they have a certain, like, way about them, you know what I mean? And then there's, like, more uptown, like, the rap vibe, you know what I mean? Like, there's definitely some different extremes of creative types in New York. Whereas I feel like LA, there's a little bit more of a wide variety.
That makes sense. Okay. Yeah. So taking from what you've told me, like, as a child, I'm assuming your parents were very supportive in your artistic endeavors.
Yeah. I come from a family of artists and, like, army people. So
military family.
Yes, I know, right?
Girl.
So my aunt, my dad's sister, actually made a living from being a sculptor. So she was a sculptor, and then her son, which is my cousin, he's made a living from being an artist. Amazing. Like, he did a whole mural at, like, the Outlands Festival or something like.
Oh, so he's pretty big.
Yeah. Okay. He was actually one of 3 artists called on by Atlantic Records to do to come up with an idea for Jay-Z's Blueprint album.
Oh, that's amazing.
So out of the 3 artists, they had them do the art, and then they kind of chose from that. He didn't get chosen, but he was one of the 3.
That's a big deal.
Right, exactly. So he's done artwork for, like, some pretty big people, which is really cool. And then my grandma, my dad's mom, I have to think about which one. My dad's mom, she was a painter, and then on my mom's side, my grandmother from Estonia was a dancer.
Very much in the arts.
Yeah, so lots of arts.
Okay, so I just think it's really cool that your family was supportive, because I don't feel like a lot of people have that. Yeah. So I couldn't imagine, I could imagine.
Yeah.
That could happen to me when we're trying to talk about Robin.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that your parents and your family was so supportive, because I think that you kind of got, like, a head start. Like, from what I'm gathering, like, you, as a kid, you knew what you wanted to do, and you, like, went for it.
Yeah, like, my parents paid for my acting classes and my dance classes and voice lessons, and that was a really big deal, because, like, a lot of parents who don't support that are definitely not even going to foot the bill for it, you know? Yeah.
How was your relationship with your parents? If you kind of want to dive into, like, your childhood, because I feel like our childhood trauma, what have you, is what, like, molds us into where we want to go in life, and it has the things that haunt us and all of that jazz. So this is a mental health podcast.
We gotta go there.
I'm here to dig into the brain. So let's go.
Well, parental relationships have a huge impact. Exactly. Yeah. So I'd say, on my mom's side, like, now that I'm older, I definitely got a lot closer to my parents, but like growing up, I was like, because I was a bad kid, we weren't really that close. We kind of, I mean, they would support me, but I also, like, it's not like we would sit down and chat about the things that we chat about now,
Okay, yeah, for sure.
My mom and I are definitely much closer now, and my dad kind of, as he got older, calmed down more. Like, he definitely was, I think emotionally closed off sometimes, and I think that might come from, like, the Navy. But also I heard that my grandpa, I never met him.
Like that militant mentality.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I heard that my grandpa, my dad's dad, who I never met because he passed away before I was born, but I heard he was kind of a dick, kind of an asshole, like, kind of mean. So I was like, okay, now I feel like, my dad probably gets that, like, aggressiveness from him. You know what I mean? And I feel like it kind of, like, came on to me and my sister. Like, sometimes we're very passionate, but we can definitely be very aggressive sometimes. And so sometimes I have to, like, my mom's, like, the opposite of that. She's, like, the most calm, sweet lady.
It's good. I want to stop you there because I feel like it's good to be self-aware like that. So you're very aware that, like, you need to work on, I don't want to say, like, anger.
Well, I don't want to, like,
put words in your mouth, but, like, you're saying, like, aggressive and, like, things like that, and also from, like, the shoe incident from high school.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just kind of putting two and two together. Okay, so I'm glad that you're aware of that, and, what, as you've gotten older, so you just told me this happened as, like, childhood.
Yeah.
So, like, moving into, like, your like, teens, and then your early adulthood into, how old are you now?
32?
32, baby girl. She was going to say 20. 32, baby girl. We have the same birthday, by the way.
Yes, birthday twin.
So as you got older, did you find yourself, like, lost anywhere? Did you have any sort of, like, addictions, problems, relationship problems? Like, what are you willing to touch on today? Because I want to.
Yeah. Well,
really
I think my dad also was an alcoholic growing up.
Oh, okay.
Not to the point where he couldn't work. Like, he always, like, he worked a lot. He provided well for us.
Enough to know that you knew.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, like, he would drink, like, every single night. Like, I think there's probably, like, a couple nights on my hand that I can count that he.
So that was, like, the normal to you?
Yeah, every single night. Every single night.
What do you drink?
I think it was Johnny Walker Black Label. It was the whiskey stuff. Okay. I can't do whiskey. I hate that. But, so he drank a lot growing up, but he was never, like, physically abusive. You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't, like, a physically abusive drunk, and he usually would wait till the evening or nighttime till we were, like, either in bed or, like, but I still knew, you know what I mean? Like, he's not a secret.
Okay.
So, and then I think my mom, now that I'm older, there are stories coming out of her, like, wanting to leave my dad numerous times, and then, like, she was going to leave him before I was born, but then I came along, so she kind of stuck it out. So now I feel...
How do you feel about that? How do you feel like hearing that?
I feel mixed feelings, because, like, part of me sees the good in my dad, and I'm, like, glad that I had a dad in my life, because there's some people that don't have that.
And two parents that were still married.
Yes, and I am... Part of me is like, okay, I'm kind of glad that my parents... I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it, because part of me is like, because I want that relationship for, not that relationship, but I want a relationship for myself that, you grow old with them.
Like a complete family.
Yeah, a complete family. Yes, like I want to get married and have kids and, like, stay with that person. I don't want to have any divorces. But at the same time, hearing the stuff that my mom has dealt with and gone through, it sounds very codependent. You know what I mean? Like, she needed someone to kind of take care of to, like, feel good about herself. And so by taking care of my dad through, like, his alcoholism and stuff. Exactly. So then I'm like, okay, that part I don't like so much. So I'm kind of mixed about it.
Is there any way that you can, like, relate to anything like that?
Yeah, so I just got out of a relationship with someone that was dealing with addiction. And so I feel like, my sister actually told me when I left that, she was like, you're breaking a generational curse here.
That's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. Like, then me and my sister can have talks like that and be aware about those things. Because a lot of people, they're not aware of their generational curses. You know what I mean? Like, they're just like, oh, we're just going to be poor forever and screw the system and blah, blah, blah. Like, they're not aware of what's happened through their generations, how they
they can't see outside of that.
Exactly.
Because it's so normal.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So for me, it's like, it's nice that my parents stayed married my whole life, and stuff like that. But I also, like, it's, now that I'm older too, I've kind of changed who I'm attracted to and the qualities I'm attracted to in a man, especially after my last experience, because I'm like, okay, I like, especially being aggressive, like when I was younger, like in that aggressive mind state, I was like, okay, be into the bad boys, or I'd be like, oh, well, screw that person for saying this and blah, blah, blah. And now I'm just like, I don't have the energy. Like, I'm attracted to a different quality.
You just made me think of something. So it's very important that us as ourselves, as human beings, as ourselves, we are aware of like our triggers and our traumas and things like that. Because if you get with the wrong partner, that's been going to trigger your triggers. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. And then make you a bad person. When you're trying to go forward, you're taking a step back. So I think it's so important that once we realize, like, red flag. Like, let's take that red flag. Let's not, like, wave at it and fucking jump over it. Exactly. Let's go. Put it in my pocket. Let's go. Right? Yeah. Let's, like, look at that red flag. Yeah. And be like,
throw it in the trash.
Throw it in the trash.
But yeah, exactly, because the wrong partner can bring the worst out of you. You know what I mean? Like, being with someone who is dealing with addiction.
But also, what if you're not aware? What if you haven't got to that self-awareness yet, and then you're with that person, and that's the reason why that person's in your life, to then bring awareness to what triggers you and your traumas, and then you throw it in the trash.
Exactly, Because honestly, like, I probably, if that relationship didn't happen, I wouldn't be attracted to a more, like, a man that's in touch with his emotions. Yeah, emotionally available. Exactly. A man that's more emotionally available. Like, a guy that's not,
So do you think your dad being emotionally available?
Yeah, I think it attracted me to, like, that, like,
the challenge of fixing.
Yes, exactly. Okay. Yeah. I think that definitely.
Okay, so in the relationships that we just talked about, has that affected your mental state? Has it affected your way of thinking? Has it affected your outlook on the future in relationships?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, I think, like, throughout that last relationship I was at, like, the mentally lowest I've been since high school. Like, I've not been that mentally low in so long. And I think,
how did you feel during that?
I felt like I was, like, mentally at rock bottom, but I also knew, I was like, okay, I've gotten through this before. I've gotten through a lot of things. Like, I just have to take it step by step, and you know what I mean, like, just kind of, like, put myself together, you know what I mean?
Like, what feelings were you feeling? Like, give me some adjectives.
Anger. Okay. Anger, yeah. Huge amount of anger and sadness, and also, because, when you put a lot of effort into something and it doesn't work out, like, you're kind of grieving a loss, because it's like you're losing the potential of what you thought it could, you know what I mean?
Like, you feel like you failed.
Yes, exactly,
So then you start to get mad at yourself. Yeah. And it's like, so you already feel all of these horrible things, and then you're just beating yourself up.
Yeah, exactly.
So so you felt like that?
Yeah.
So how did you get out of that, and how long did that last, and, like, what did you do to get out of that?
I think it's still kind of going on a little bit because it's still a little fresh, but I mean, you just got to move forward with life, you know what I mean? Like, I definitely had my days where I would, like, cried and I was sad and angry, but, like, I just focused on moving forward, you know what I mean? Like, okay, I gotta move, so I gotta do X, Y, and Z to move. Okay, I gotta get a new place. Okay, I gotta get a new job. I gotta set myself up. I gotta start spending time with friends. I gotta start going out and going
because
to events.
You left LA, so our listeners are understing what's happening. Yeah. So Robin was in LA, blah blah,
for like 10 years.
And then she, with this guy, whatever, and then decided to move back to.
Well, not back to.
Well, you decided to move to South Dakota.
Yeah, because he's got family there.
So you were there for how long?
Like 6 months.
And then you are now back. Yes. She just moved back. She's fresh back into LA 3 weeks. Like 3 weeks. Yeah. Guys. Right. And you've already...
It's crazy.
And you already have a job. You already have an apartment.
Yes.
So I just want you guys to know. Everybody out there to know. Yeah. That, like, she kind of went back and then came back. And her mentality, she got herself out of that situation. Yeah. She came to LA. She did it. Yeah. She has a job and a freaking...
Which I manifested too, by the way. Like,
in like less than 2 weeks.
Yeah. It's crazy how fast things can turn around. Like, when you... I feel
it's your mentality.
Yeah. It's your mentality, and also I feel like, in a way, like, I'm also, I wouldn't say religious, but spiritual. Okay. So I kind of believe that the universe was almost, like, rewarding me for, like, leaving that situation. Like,
because you were doing the right thing for yourself.
Yeah, like, okay, you're gone, here you go. Here's a little present, for...
I mean, honestly, if you wake up in the morning, you're like, today is going to be a freaking miracle. A miracle is going to happen, you know?
It's all about perspective, you know what I mean?
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
You can look at things so, like... And the other thing, too, is in that kind of situation... forgiveness, I don't know, it takes a while to kind of forgive too, but I don't want to be...
It's like stages of grief. It's like you're angry, disbelief, sad, blah, blah. So then, like, I feel like forgiveness is last.
It's the last. Yeah.
I'm guessing.
Yeah, I feel like it's, if it ever comes, I don't know, like,
well, because we gotta do it for us.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say forgiveness in the sense of, like, I forgive this person for doing these horrible things, but it's more like looking at, kind of like with my anger, it's like, okay, I have to go through a healing process of, like, dealing with that. Like, they have to go through the healing process of dealing with whatever they're dealing with, and I don't want to, like being angry at them and, like, trying to send negativity their way, it kind of causes me more negativity. So I'm just like, you know what? I just hope everyone kind of heals and moves forward, kind of thing. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. So moving into, like, some more deep topics. I really want to talk about things that can happen in LA. So, like, your safety precautions, not only as just a human, but as a female.
Yeah.
What are you willing to share in regards to some like negative experiences that you have then had to overcome, and what's changed you and maybe made you stronger mentally?
Yeah. Oh my God, there's a lot. I mean, any big city is going to be a crazy place with lots of ups and downs and different kinds of people. You know, when you come from a place like, I mean, Virginia was right outside DC, so there's still, like, bad stuff that happens, obviously.
Big city,
yeah. But the stuff that happens in, like, New York, LA, DC doesn't really happen in, I mean, not that it doesn't happen in places like South Dakota.
Hear about it.
You don't hear about it, yeah. Or, like, in South Dakota, you wouldn't think, like, oh, I'm walking down the street, so I can't have my phone in my back pocket. Whereas in New York City or LA, it's like, okay, yeah, exactly. So you have to think about small things like that. And especially, like, with social media these days, like, you have to be extra careful because there are lots of, like, social media horror stories too, like when that happened with me. So there was this woman, so maybe this happened in, like, October of 2019, so before the pandemic, right before the pandemic. And, you know, as a music artist, it's like I'm always looking for new opportunities, new networking, you know, meeting new people, et cetera, et cetera. So, you know, this woman in her 40s had contacted me on Instagram saying, like, hey, me and my husband are, you know, we work with labels, just finding artists to sign. We kind of develop them and work on their music. And then, you know, we work on their music with them and then promote that to the label for record deals or whatever. So I was like, okay, cool. Hopped on the phone with her. We talked for like 20 minutes. It seemed like a really good conversation. But I also was sussing it out too, because you have to be careful in the entertainment industry with, like, scams and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was just like, okay, let me just see what she has to say, you know, and it sounded like, so in the music industry, there's something called a finder's fee. So record labels will sometimes pay someone for finding an artist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, she said that they got paid through finder's fees, and
so
I was
she's
like,
trying to get some work.
So it sounded legit, you know what I mean? So I was like, okay, and she's an older woman in her 40s, so I was like, okay.
You trusted her because she was a woman.
Yes, exactly. She had a family. She was married. Her husband was the music producer. So I was like, okay, cool. Like, I'll meet with you guys and see what else you have to say. We'll play some music and talk business, you know? So she sends me, they have a home studio, and normally I wouldn't, like, you know, go to the stranger's home or whatever. You know, but she's an older married woman with a family. So I was like, okay, I don't know. I felt okay about it.
So if it was a male and no female, you wouldn't have gone?
No, definitely not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But being a woman with a family, I was like, okay. Like, I looked at their Instagrams, checked them out. So I was like, they had photos in the offices of labels. And there's one A&R that I'd heard of from Atlantic, and they had photos with them. So I was like, okay, they know this A&R that I have heard of. So it seems legit, you know?
You were doing your homework, and everything seemed to add up.
And okay. Yes, exactly. So what happened was, on my way there, I texted the address to a friend of mine, and I said, hey, I'm going here for a music meeting, like, just, you know, letting you know where I'm going to be, because it's a home, you know? So she was like, okay, I'll check in on you later. So I go there, and within, you know, the first hour, their kids are home when I go there, by the way. They're like 14 and 12. Like, these kids are not too young. Like, you know what I mean? They see me.
Yeah.
They know. They're like, there's a person in the house.
Okay.
Yeah. So I go up to the home studio, and it looks official. Like, I've been to so many different studios, you know, working in music. It's like, okay, this looks legit. Like, they have this computer, this microphone, they have these awards. Like, it looks legit, you know? So I go there. Within the first hour, we're, like, playing music, we're talking. He's kind of giving me pointers on the songs he's hearing and, like, the recording quality, blah, blah, blah. And he had offered me, like, a glass of champagne, and at first I was like, absolutely not. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to go and talk business and then leave. And then after, like, I guess they just kept, I don't know, the conversation going. You know what I mean? So by keeping me there, and then like offered me like 3 other times. So I was like, you know what? Fine. Like, it's 1 glass. I'm going to leave right after. It'll be fine. Whatever. Because, I mean, that happens in the music industry. You go to a studio, people are like smoking and drinking or whatever. And that happens in a lot of different studios.
Did you feel pressured to drink?
A little bit, I did.
Okay.
Yeah, because he had offered it to me a couple times, and I said no each time.
Okay.
And throughout this whole situation, like, the woman sitting
there
with us.
So, red flag?
Yeah. Red flag.
Okay, we're taking notes. So, red flag. Okay, okay.
So, and normally I wouldn't do anything
we put it in the pocket, and we kept going.
Exactly.
Okay,
yeah. So, I had the one, and then, next thing I know, it's 3 a.m. and I'm on their living room couch, and I was like, what the don't want to curse, but you know what I mean?
You actually called me.
Yeah, actually, so
you actually called me, yeah.
And my friend that I texted the address to never checked on me. Not at all. Not one text, not one phone call, nothing. Until like 3 a.m. And I had gone over there at 1 p.m. the day before.
So you were for almost 12 hours?
Yeah.
Okay. And so you woke up on the couch?
Yeah. So, and I don't know if this is TMI, but I was like on my period.
No, let's talk about this, because again, these are signs. So let's be open, let's be honest.
And my socks were off, which was weird because I don't like to take my socks off too much. Like, you know what I mean? Because I
you woke up and you noticed that things
were wrong. Like it was I was on my period and my tampon was not in when I woke up, and I was just like, where did my tampon go? And
as a female, that is one of those scariest feelings.
Yeah, my tampon was gone, my socks are off, my jacket was off, and I it just like was weird, So I was like, okay, this is really strange. And so I woke up and it was 3 a.m. I guess they were asleep or whatever, and then I just put on my shoes and I left. And I just left, and then I couldn't sleep at all. I was supposed to go to work at like 8 a.m. the next day, so I go to work and I'm there for a couple hours and I can't stop thinking about it.
I remember you called me after, and I said, go to the police station, make a police report.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, you were the one that told me that I should do that.
Yes.
Yeah, and I even texted my sister too, and I said, hey, this like weird situation happened, and I don't know what to do. But like I had already like missed some other days at work, so that's why I felt obligated to go. You know what I mean? So I go there, and then I'm there for a couple hours, and I'm like, hey. Like, I didn't want to tell them exactly, but I was like, something really bad happened to me last night, and I have to go, like, to the police or whatever. So I go to the rape center at UCLA. It's at 5 p.m. the next day. So the reason this timeline is important is because, I'd gotten at their house about 1 p.m. the day before, and I had the champagne around, like, 4:30 time. Woke up around 3 a.m. Didn't go I guess I had called the rape center about, like, 3 p.m. the next day, because I had left work maybe around noon, got home. Or I don't really remember that part, but I know I didn't see them until 5 p.m.
So what's the time space in which you have to get that DNA, anything collected?
As soon as possible.
Within a 24-hour period,
within
right?
24 hours.
48 hours, but mainly within 24 hours.
Yeah.
So that's most crucial.
But what's even less than that is crucial, too, because I believe they probably used what's called GHB on me. And GHB...
goes away.
It goes away within, like, even 8 hours after drinking it. So even... as I had the drink at 4 and waking up at 3, even if I had done some type of piss test or anything after that, they probably still wouldn't have caught it.
Okay, so you get the rape kit done.
Yeah.
Okay, what was the process of that?
They had to strip me down, and this woman had to like look at my whole body just to look for bruises and stuff. Then they had to take my blood for certain like STD tests and stuff, swab down there and stuff. So it was probably like a 2-hour long process.
By yourself, scared.
Yeah. And the detective had come as well. There's a sheriff or a detective that had come out, spoken with me. I told him the whole situation. No, the sheriff came first. From the county that happened in, because it happened in Ventura County, because it was out past Thousand Oaks, so it was a different county than Los Angeles. So the Ventura County sheriff had to come. I spoke to him and gave them all the info, phone numbers, everything that I had, the address, and then they assigned a detective. So then I met with a detective, go to the detective's office, meet with him, tell him everything, and I showed him the guy's Instagram. And he noticed on the guy's Instagram that there were photos of the man, and he had used like Snapchat face filters on a couple photos. And he was like, oh, I noticed he made a comment like, oh, so the FBI facial recognition can't pick it up. And that scared me. And I was like, excuse me? And then they did, I had to meet with him, or I think I called the woman. This was the next day when I met with the detective, and I had called the woman back. She didn't answer. As I'm at the detective station, didn't answer. So then I drove away. And then she calls me back as I'm driving away. So then I had to drive back to the detective station. So I had to put a little earpiece in, all this stuff. So the detectives could record the whole the whole phone conversation.
And what was gathered?
I remember saying...
What was the reason that you were calling her? Like, trying to just ask her what happened?
Yeah, just be like, hey, so, you know, I never pass out for that long off of one drink. Like, I know myself, like, and she just kind of was saying, like, oh, well, you were sloshed and blah, 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 blah. And then, like, you came and met other people. There were other people that came by that night. And I was like, other people? Like, there were other people? And the detective was just like, what? Like, she, from what I remember, it was about a 10-minute long conversation. And she was kind of... The detective was saying she was a little bit all over the place, a little unfocused, like, on trying to keep her story straight and stuff like that. Yeah, she was nervous. Yeah, so they recorded that whole conversation. And then, you know, through all this, you know, they're testing the rape kit and stuff. So then a week later, I have to go to a safe house out in Ventura County to do a video deposition.
Jeez, man.
And when I go to the safe house, this is what is really scary. Actually, no, I think, wait, let's go back to that phone call conversation, because at that time, that might have been the second time I met with the detective. I don't remember, but I know that I had met with him in that same place, and he gave me what's called a 6-pack. So a 6-pack is, you know, when they give you 6 photos of, like, different people, you have to pick the people out. So he gave me a 6-pack of the man and the woman. So I had a 6-pack of the man, so I had to, you know, choose the face. Yeah, and then another thing that was really scary too is I was like, oh, like he told me his name was Skylar Lex, and the detective was like, that's the name he told you his name is. So I was just like, they're using fake names, and they're using fake names too. So yeah, Skylar Lex, I'm gonna say his name, I don't even care. Yeah, and then the woman, you know, I had to point out her face too. So I was just like, they wouldn't have these photos, like these are mugshots.
That means that these people are in the system.
They're in the system, and then when he said the FBI facial recognition, he's like, he has filters on.
So that guy knew what he was. So they knew what they were doing.
They were, and this is another thing that scared me too, like connecting to the 6-pack situation. So after that, maybe a week later, I go to a Ventura County safe house. And I do the video deposition where I just kind of had to tell the whole story, explain what the house looked like, explain how I got up to the studio, just explain it all. And the DA was there, the district attorney. They told me that the DA was watching from a video surveillance from some other location. But as I'm walking down the hallway of the house, there's, you know, they have a guy with an FBI jacket in the other room watching the video. So I'm like, wow, like the FBI is involved in this. And the FBI is watching. They're probably doing like some behavioral analysis on me or whatever, but like...
See if you're lying, whatever.
Yeah. And I wasn't lying, so I didn't care. But that, like, the FBI is involved.
So from all of that, is the case still going? Is it settled? What?
Still going on.
But so, what did they find from like...
Oh, yes, I'll tell you. So actually a month after that whole situation happened, I get a letter in the mail from the Ventura district attorney saying, like, I'm a victim of crime. And then that was, like, when it was, like, super real for me. I was just like, obviously they know these people are bad and they're after them. And then I had found another victim online, like when I did more research on this guy, I found another victim online and I ended up talking to her. Same people. And this woman had told me that nothing sexual had happened with them, but like I guess like he was more taking advantage of them financially through music stuff.
Oh.
And she was like, oh, the FBI has been after these people for 7 years. And I was just like, holy crap. So then a year goes by, over a year, maybe a year and a half. And I think you were in the car with me when the detective calls me. This was probably April.
Oh my God, I was in the car.
You were in the car with me when the detective called me. Yeah.
And what did they say?
So this is like probably March or April of this year. So this is like a year and a half after the incident and the rape kit. The rape kit was finally done and finished. Took them a year and a half to do it. They found unknown DNA on my underwear. And I had not hooked up with anyone for 2 months before that. And that I know. The underwear had just come out of the laundry. Like, so I was like, there's no way anyone else's DNA would have been on my underwear, of all places.
So how did this situation affect you mentally? Like, did you have to
I had PTSD. Yeah, so I did. I actually, I got free therapy through the state. I got like 10 different sessions. So I went to the UCLA Rape Center has a counseling center as well down in Santa Monica. So I went to get some therapy there with her. She was the one that told me that's what the 6-pack is called.
Okay.
About the photos and stuff. And she explained to me, you know, the trauma response and kind of stuff like that. And she was so sweet. I love her. So I got some free therapy, but I had some really bad PTSD afterwards. Like, I still have PTSD.
I think you're still dealing. Yeah, you're still dealing with that.
Yeah, and a big reason, like, I guess like a week after that incident happened, I was in my apartment by myself, and like my balcony door had like opened itself or something, and I like I just
that's when you knew
that I had PTSD, because like loud noises, even to this day, like loud noises and like things kind of like I flinch a little bit, you know what I mean? Like earlier today I was at the gas station and this guy walks by me and I just like flinch, you know what I mean? So I'm still dealing with it. I actually when my health insurance kicks in from my new job, there's a center called Serenity Trauma Center in Malibu that does like PTSD therapy and stuff. So I want to go there and
it's so scary, Robin. Like it's like we need to like let everybody know, like be aware. It's not only female, it's not male, it's not. It's like these people targeted you and they were a couple and they've been doing this to.
And they have a family. They have kids. They have 4 kids.
It's not even that they took like
and they did it at his house
in their own house, you know. And it's just so crazy and like so many we've heard recent stories of you know the 2 girls here in LA, Christy and Hilda, who unfortunately rest in peace, they're not here anymore. They got from what we know, you know what I mean, they went out and they went back with 3 guys, and the last anybody knew was they were dropped off on the hospital doorsteps, you know, unresponsive. So it's like I'm really glad you're here. I'm really glad you made it through. Anything it could have been really bad.
When I think about it, like I get so scared. I'm like, I'm so lucky that I woke up on the couch, because I could have easily woken up like chained up somewhere.
Honestly,
like I could have woken up without a foot or something. I don't know. Like it's terrifying to think what could have happened.
So, what steps are you taking to help with your mental health? What helps you with your mental health?
I'd say just being around good, positive people. You know what I mean? Like people like you know, like spend time with my friends and getting out into nature. Like
you meditate, reading books.
Yes, I listen to like meditation. Every morning I play meditation music. I've been reading a lot of books on like investing, so I haven't read as many.
She's on the money chain, right?
Yes, I know. I'm just like, and another really good book that I love is The Alchemist. I mean, I read it years ago, but like I love that book too. So I mean, because the thing with PTSD is like you really isolate yourself a lot. Like this year, I didn't live stream as much. I didn't post on social media as much. I've kind of isolated myself a little bit. I didn't release as much music. So I think.
But did you take that time to heal? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think I'm still healing, but I did take the time to kind of like reassess a lot of different things and stuff within myself as well. And I think with PTSD too, you don't want to isolate yourself too much.
Because it makes it worse.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I listened to a lot of motivational things like Lewis Howe School of Greatness. I listened to Jim Rohn. I listened to Mel Robbins. So many amazing people. And I what they say is like psychologically, like how our brain works is like if we want to like tuck our head in like a turtle, like in our little shell when things happen, it's when the next thing happens, we need to learn to like kind of dwindle and get our way out, like peek our head out a little bit more, because if we keep going in and going in and going in, we are never going to feel okay with coming out. Yeah. So it's like you really have to discipline yourself and push yourself. I know it's hard. Like I deal with a ton of mental disability, things like that, but it's like it's all about how you deal with it and 100%. The proper steps that you take to get better, but you have to want to get better.
Exactly.
You have to really want
and you have to know, like that's where self-awareness comes into place.
You have to, first step is awareness, realization, and then sitting with it.
Yes.
Sitting in the anger and the sadness and the pain, right? And then being like, okay, cool. What the fuck am I gonna do about this now?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, because you want to just be a fucking turtle in a shell for the rest of your life.
Yeah, exactly.
No! Yeah. No, honey. I want to be a fucking dinosaur.
Exactly.
Fucking Godzilla. Yes. And take over this world.
Right? Exactly.
Oh my God.
So you just can't isolate too much. I mean, it's okay to take a little time. Like I definitely.
No, for sure.
I'm more selective about like, you know, who I hang out with and like places I go and how I
We all have to be really careful right now, especially in LA, you know?
I'm definitely way more selective. Like I went to a drag show with a friend the other day and like the whole time I'd gotten one drink, but like my hands over the drink the whole time.
Right.
Because I'm just like, you know what I mean? I'm just like holding my drink here.
So scary.
Yeah, because I'm just like, I don't know.
Well, you know what? I'm really happy that you're my friend. I'm really happy that you're in my life. I love you so much.
Love you too.
Thank you for being here and sharing. Thank you for being vulnerable. It's okay to be vulnerable, everybody. Okay, let's be vulnerable so we can connect. That is the main purpose for my show, is to connect and overcome.
Exactly.
So I just wanted to say thank you so much for being open and vulnerable and honest with all of us. And I really hope that Robin helps you guys out there.
Stay safe. Yes. And I think it's really important because I haven't actually really told that story to.
Yeah, this is your first time going public with it.
Yeah, exactly. I haven't been public with the story yet.
It's gonna help people.
Yeah, 100%.
So thank you.
Yeah.
Can we tell the listeners where we can find Robin Taylor?
Yes! Find me on Instagram at Robin Taylor, ROBINTAYLOR. On YouTube is Robin Taylor Music. And that's about it for now. Yeah.
And I am your host, Amanda Terry, also known as Makeup Mandy, and that is with an I. And you can find me on all platforms at makeup_Mandy with an I. Thank you guys so much. I love you, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.